The Scott Ryfun Radio Show.
Doesn't fail. Does not fail. Hey, how are you? Good morning. I'm kind of weird feeling because I don't think anybody's up right now. Although G-Man should be moving around somewhere, but because he's got a real job. But I think Mrs. Ryfun's off today, and I think she's enjoying herself. So how are you? Good to see you. We're just coming off of a weekend. I'm still trying to figure out kind of how to keep myself redirected. And this is going to be an interesting week because it's a week of more meetings. It's a week where there's certain things I really need to button up and get nailed down before we take next steps. So there's a lot, I guess, that's going to be happening. A lot of running around. Still can't say anything. I believe very firmly that we're going to be able to announce some radio partners soon, an actual program where I'm not just sitting here just chatting with you guys, which I love. By the way, I've enjoyed the heck out of this, but at some point it's got to be a career, right? So we'll get into a little bit of that this morning. Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. I uploaded all my stuff, all my graphics for today, and I missed one. I went to my notes here and I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's a thing there that I gotta put in there that I did not put in there. Darn me. All right. So let me do that really quickly. Boom and boom and then boom. And then one more click here. Cause I started, the funny thing is you get into that groove of you're doing things over the weekend and you start, I think we were talking about this the other day, if I'm not mistaken, where like show prep is 24 hours. Because somebody had mentioned, because I'd mentioned I'll do an hour of show prep in the morning before the show back in the day. And people were talking, so-and-so said they do 4. Oh, it was George Norrie. George Norrie, they said he does, I forget how many hours, like 6 hours, 8 hours of show prep or whatever. And that's nice. The math doesn't really work out in his favor on that. But, the reality is that when you're not on the air, everything, if you do this long enough and you do it well and you have success with it, everything becomes show prep. I mean, everywhere you are, you kind of have the antenna out that's just kind of like, okay, is this something that works on the show? Is this something that could work on the program? Okay, then, we're going to throw it in there. So I was doing that over the weekend, putting some stuff out there, and I forgot to upload some of it. Sorry about that. All right. So what do we got? Let's say some haze here this morning. There you go. Mikey, good morning to everybody in the chat. There's my thumbs up from Paul McClellan. The day does not start without one of these from Paul McClellan. That's all there is to it. And Daniel Thomas gives us one as well. Number 8 says, hey, 33 off vacation. Glad to see it. Another manic. Well, yeah, it might be. They're saying rain this morning. So we'll see what happens later this morning, late morning. Gary says, good morning. Hi, how are you, sir? 161 checking in for a great day and an update on what's happening, which was a great show. One of my favorites. I used to watch it all the time. Raj and Dee and Rerun and Dwayne. Dirt Fisherman 147. Good morning. Lisa says, good morning. Skip, good morning. Happy Monday to you as well. Rhonda, number 141 says, yeah, real jobs are overrated. There are times. Greetings from North Carolina. Good to have you here. Ryfunians. Oh, interesting. Oh, by the way, I got to give a lot of credit to a lot of people. Good morning, ma'am. But I got to give Henry Ball some real credit because he's been sharing the heck out of our YouTube link. And, we hit 800 Friday and we were kind of like, okay, great. We're at 800. Hopefully over the weekend, we'll get a few more and we'll see where we are Monday because we're trying to get to 1,000 subscriptions on YouTube. For those of you playing the home game, you may not have known that. But so I go in this morning. I was checking it over the course of the weekend. And I go in this morning. We're at 891. We're at 800. And a lot of that is a lot of people have shared it. Don't get me wrong. We've had a lot of friends. But Henry has really been banging the drum. And so we certainly appreciate that. Brenda, good morning. Good morning. Actually, you know what? We drove past your place the other day and there was a vehicle in front of there that a friend of mine believes is for sale and really wants. Just telling you. Lost at sea. What happened? Oh, because you don't have the podcast. Sorry about that. There will be, I mean, this is a thing, and this will continue to be a thing. Do you need separate audio? Is that what you're telling me? Because again, I'm still trying to kind of gauge what everybody needs. And let me go ahead and address one thing. Because that one of the things, because it's so funny. Let me just say this first. Everybody has been so great. Everybody that I've run into has been terrific. Like, people are just, when you sit alone in a studio, you hope people are there with you. You hope people are there for you. But you don't know. And then you get the ratings and you go, okay, yes, they are there. Good. And when you're actually out in public and people just come up and say nice things to you and let you know that people have your back, and just it's been just about it's been amazing, because it's been just about everywhere I go. Somebody has stepped up and said something. Even last weekend, like I said, 4th of July weekend, we were over on Jekyll. People were coming up and saying, hey, and we got you, and we'll be there for you, etc. It's been the not having a gig has not been the humbling part, because when you look at it, you recognize it's their problem, not yours. The humbling part has been the people that just have reached out and supported. That has been the humbling part, and that people continue to do it. So anyway, I'm gauging certain things, and I do want to kind of put one thing and just kind of put it on the shelf, and let's not deal with this anymore. When I was first faced with the situation we're in, I had already had some thoughts about how to go forward. As I said, I've been thinking about it for a little while. And one of the possibilities involved putting everything behind a paywall. So I went on Facebook and I asked the question, if would you pay to subscribe to Straight Talk, et cetera, et cetera. And I got enough negative reaction on that I said, combination. I got enough negative reaction on it, and I got enough people offering and volunteering to sponsor, that it really didn't seem like it was a necessary thing to have to put the program behind a paywall and charge for it, which was again, I've been thinking about this for a little while, and that was always on my mind is the paywall part of the way you do this, or is it sponsorship, or what is it? How do you do it? And so we decided early on, and I've said it a few times on this little stream that we try to do every day, that the paywall is not a thing. It's not going to happen. The program will never be put behind a paywall. And the reason I just bring it up again is that people are, when I talk to people, they are still talking to me and saying, hey, if you put it behind if you do a subscriber thing, I'll be there for it. This program will not be behind a paywall. The morning program will not be behind a paywall. I will not do that to the people who count on it. And again, we're gonna try to have it on the radio too. That was part of the thing earlier, was I was going to try to make it without a radio partner, which honestly I think can happen and can be done. But I just think the long-term prospect is it's better off on the radio. But we'll keep this YouTube stream, and I'll keep the Facebook stream, and I'll keep all of that going. But we're gonna have a radio partner too. It just makes sense to me. That having been said, the program won't be behind a paywall. Also, though, let me say, there probably will be a paid tier at some point, which will get you different content. In other words, everybody gets this for free, but some other things that we may plan, some evening things, some special coverage, some special programs, that kind of thing, that will be behind, at a pay tier, and we'll see how it does. And honestly, I'd like to kind of expand the channel to more than just me. So anyway, just throwing that out there, letting you know, because I'm still talking to people who are very nicely and believe me, much to my appreciation, vowing to pay for the paywall, but you don't have to pay for the paywall. That's not going to happen. I'll just say it that way. Let's see. And I love the intro. Was he avoiding the trees on Demery? Wow, the trees, man. The tree. Well, it's not. It's. I mean, Demery's. It's really Frederica where the trees are really, really bad. A little bit of Kingsway, but really, yeah. And so we head over to Jessup and we say hello to Mr. Blocker. How are you, sir? Tony, good morning. Stephen, good morning. The girl in my neighborhood who keeps getting exorcisms, her parents say the priest. Oh, now, you said you were bringing the dad jokes. You have not failed to bring the dad jokes. Good morning. Yes, indeed. Every day a new 100 milestone is achieved. It seems like it. It seems like it. And again, we're at 891 as of this morning. I'd love to get to 900 this morning. It would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you, sir. Good to have you here. And thank you, by the way. I saw what you said to a programming executive at iHeart, and I appreciate it. How's that? Let's see. Oh, 149. Hope you're having a good day. Absolutely. Can't wait to see the. Well, hang on. The problem is the next one comes out August, I think 7th, and it's mine. So when the next one comes out, it's me. It's because of the way they do it and the way they release the data and everything. That's part of the problem, is that all of this, the ratings and everything, you won't know what happens until late January. Excuse me, late January. Sadly, that's when the numbers will start coming up. And even then, I suspect it'll take some time for it to cycle in because people are just used to writing things down, but we'll see. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Oh, glad to have you here, and welcome to the Daytona people. All right. Goon morning. And I think it's probably supposed to be good. Friday the 13th came on Monday this month for all you triskaidekaphobiacs. You gotta look that up. That's the fear of the number 13, by the way, is what he's doing. So we have to pay for dinner for geeks in my Star Wars story now. I don't think well, I mean, since I think there's been Dinner for Geeks does about one episode a year at best. And my Star Wars story, I don't think there's been an episode in 5 or 6 years, maybe. So I don't know. I know a movie show that would love to be part of the Rifle Network. Well, we'll see. Late show. Well, there's just some nighttime things. And honestly, like I've said, I would like Glosson to be involved in this. Let's see, 10 years and I still can't get a deck number. Do you want a number? Is that what you're telling me? All right. Well, I my pledge here. I have about 3 numbers I'll give out a day because I don't want to spend dramatically copious amounts of time doing numbers, because we could sit and do numbers all day. But yeah, you have contributed certainly significantly to the program, that you will get a number, and your number is 164. There you go. Done. See, just that simple. Only 1 point. Yeah, somebody reached out to me and was telling me that there's a guy on St. Simon's who, you're looking for YouTube subscribers. There's a guy on St. Simon's. He's got 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I went, wow, that's a lot for somebody on St. Simon's. And so I went to the account, and it turned out he by now has, I think, 1.2 million. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. I was on vacation, thought you were on vacation. Glad I found you. That has been one of the interesting things that has come out of this as well. So many people have just realized things have gone down, that I was part of the massive iHeart downsizing. A lot of people just thought I was on vacation. There are several people who've reached out and said, yeah, you're still not back. Why are you not back? And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? I'm not coming back. I was not. But, it is interesting because I will, it used to happen to me all the time. I would I'd give notice for weeks that I was going on vacation. I'll be on vacation on these days. I'll be on vacation on these days. And then when I'd go on vacation, I'd still hear from all these people, why aren't you on today? So yeah, I know. This time I didn't give notice of a vacation, and everybody thought I just was. Speaking of which, just so you know, And I'm trying to do the stream every morning at 7 so that we can stay in touch with each other and talk. And I've got some stuff to get into. But I will not be here Monday or Tuesday. And that doesn't mean fill-in programming, because what are you going to do? It's just me here. So what it means is there's no stream Monday or Tuesday of next week. This week we're good. And that's why, again, another reason why I want to go ahead and get a lot of things settled, because we're leaving town Saturday and we're coming back Tuesday afternoon so I can do trivia that night at Max Barbecue. And so there's some things that we're really trying to get wrapped up, squared away, that kind of thing. But for now, we're here this week. Monday and Tuesday of next week, not here. And then we'll be back Tuesday afternoon, and I'll be right back to this Wednesday morning. I promise. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that doesn't sound like fun. Although, I will say this. I can think of, I've known a lot of people who've had knee replacement surgery. I only know of one who did not say they benefited from it. Everybody, and that one did not, I'll be honest with you, did not rehab right. Did not engage in rehab properly. Everybody that I know that pursued the rehab properly and was very active in doing so has tremendously benefited from having knee replacement surgery. So have G-Man take over. The problem is, I don't think G-Man wants to. That's why. That's the thing. Oh, man, you had the left knee done in April. Oh, because you're having both of them done right here, right now. Holy cow. Man, oh, man, oh, man. Past you coming back and me going, okay, so you're leaving Tuesday then. You're coming back. Oh, okay, you're coming back Saturday. Okay, well, we'll be heading out Saturday early in the morning. And who knows when we'll get. Oh, I know when we'll get back. We'll get back Tuesday afternoon. I said that, didn't I? So anyway, yeah, we've got a lot of things to talk about right now. There is a rumor, and I think it's based on what I have, it's pretty close to confirmed, but not officially confirmed, that we had someone jump off the Sidney Lanier Bridge last night. And again, just I don't understand the mindset behind it. I may never understand the mindset behind it, but the family that will be grieving, we certainly send our hearts, our warmest wishes, our prayers to that family. Let's jump into some of the things we've got prepared for today. Yeah, I don't have it officially confirmed, but I've got it from two almost sources that it looks like enough. Now let's talk about this. Let's talk about Wesley Robertson. Let's talk about Wesley Robertson going in 4th round, 115th pick overall in the MLB draft. Now, I've known his mom forever and a day, believe it or not. Congratulations to him. There are going to be some people who are going to sneer and snicker because 115th pick, but let me just tell you something. He now has the exact same chance that everybody else has to make it to the show. All he has to do is work hard, show his skills, outcompete, and he is there with anybody else. It is amazing. And I don't know how it is in other towns these days because I'm from here. But it's amazing to me the number of people that we have in the NFL and have had in the NFL for, I don't know, the last 15, 20 years. Major League Baseball, we had Adam Wainwright, one of the greats, surely a Hall of Famer. And he's got a ways to go before he gets to that level, clearly, but also he's on his path. And he could make that happen. But when you look at the Darius Slays and the Justin Colemans, and it's kind of amazing to me that we've put as many of these guys into these situations to do it. DJ Dallas, of course, don't want to forget him. I'm trying to remember now. There's somebody I was talking about the other day where we were, I was reminiscing about something that happened. I can't remember offhand, but anyway, We place a lot of these guys in pro sports these days, and I don't know, what the small town ratio is for that, but I mean, Charlton had a pretty good run too, but and yeah, let's not forget 71. Let's not forget, of course. Uh, you don't want to forget McClendon with the Rams. Absolutely not. So, yeah, we've got just a number of players in these big leagues. It's great to see. Let's take a look at a couple of things. One, Lindsey Graham has passed away, as you know. This was a thing. I got up with the dogs yesterday, so I was up at 6 o'clock yesterday morning, and oh boy, yeah, the conspiracies start, and yeah, I can't. I just can't. Sorry. Well, somebody sent me one of these the other day. This was a suicide because all of these evil people are being called to account for all the evil they've done over the years. And it was, he took himself off the board before. It's like, so he ripped his own aorta. I mean, I know Oedipus clawed out his own eyes and everything, but ripping your own aorta seems a bit beyond normal people's abilities, I would think. But no, it's just very odd. I woke up 6 o'clock. Lindsey Graham had died. 6 o'clock was a really weird time to find out that news. And the reason I say that is because it wasn't fully disseminated yet. There's kind of a news infrastructure and everybody kind of picks up everything and everybody kind of blasts it at once. And if you're one of those people that you have a news app on your device, then you know what I'm talking about. Like or several news apps like I have, where they'll all just go off at once. Bing, 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 bing. And everybody's telling you the same thing at the same time. And it kind of drives you crazy. With Lindsey Graham, it didn't happen that way. I think the earliest reporting of it was like 2:20 in the morning. Trump had already truthed about it. And NBC News had it. But then a lot of the places you go didn't have it yet. So 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm going, NBC was the only major media outlet that I saw that had it. And before I saw that Trump had truthed about it, I thought, maybe they're getting punked. I can't imagine Lindsey Graham. Are they sure they're not saying Mitch McConnell? They're saying Lindsey Graham. And no, it turns out it was Lindsey Graham. And it disseminated throughout the morning. Like I said, you usually get all the push notifications at once, but the push notifications came for hours. You'd get one, and then 10 minutes later, you'd get another one. 10 minutes later, somebody else would be reporting it finally. And it just kind of came in that way. Lindsey Graham is one of those guys. And again, like I said, the conspiracy theories started immediately. And they started with Lindsey Graham killed himself. They said it was an unexpected and quick illness. It's because he took himself off. These evil people are taking themselves off the board before they have to pay the price for the evil that they've done. And he literally had an aortic dissection. Basically, his aorta ripped. And he died. And he had heart disease. And so, yes, that happens. That's the other thing with the conspiracy theories is Lindsey Graham has no known health issues. And let me just say this. You don't have Lindsey Graham's medical file. Turns out Lindsey Graham did, in fact, have known medical issues. They just weren't known to you. Somehow, people tend to forget that that's kind of a part of the whole thing is actually these people do have rights to a little bit of their privacy. And Lindsey Graham did have heart disease. And it obviously manifested itself overnight, Saturday night into Sunday morning, sadly. Lindsey Graham's one of those guys who's he's kind of like McConnell. It's weird that McConnell is facing the health issues he's been facing as well. But they're guys who sometimes they're squishy and you get really upset with them and you ride them as hard as you can when they get squishy. But when they're not there, you realize how important they are. When they're not there, you realize the things they bring to the table. And, Lindsey Graham, if you just watch the outpouring from people, it's been tremendous. the number of people that he's worked with, and Trump even. I have a Trump clip. If I can find this, should be pretty easy to find. Yeah. Now listen. This is about a minute long. It's Jake Tapper and Donald Trump, and Tapper for some reason has the president on to talk about Lindsey Graham. And what does he talk about? How Lindsey Graham spoke ill of him during the 2016 campaign. And again, just bad Jake Tapperisms, I guess. And you have to deal with that when you're dealing with Jake Tapper. But check this out. Hang on. You actually have to hear it first. Let's see. Now let's do it.
Had some harsh words about you 10 years ago when you were running against each other.
Did. Well, he ran against me, and he was, formidable. He was tough cook. He was tough and smart, and that's why I got to know him in the campaign. I didn't know him before then, and I spoke to him maybe once in my life before then, but I got to know him. He was one of the 17 people that ran against me, and he was, a smart guy, and it was a nasty campaign. He was tough and nasty, but I was nasty too, and it worked out fine. And I got to know him by little drips and drabs, and then we became friendly, and there was no better advocate. He was a fantastic advocate in the Senate, and he could do things that other people, he was able to. If I had a really big problem with a certain Democrat, he could work it out. That's something.
That's the thing I wanted to point out. If I had a problem with a certain Democrat, he would work it out. We always hear about, we need people who can reach across the aisle. And then we don't realize we actually do have people who can reach across the aisle. And Lindsey Graham was one of those guys who, as fiercely partisan as he could be from time to time, was one of those guys who could reach across the aisle, was one of those guys who could work with people in the other party and persuade them and get them on board with whatever the agenda was. And did you have to horse trade sometimes? Absolutely. And again, he ran into hot water with Russia in 2006 when he was part of that group of senators who wanted to pass an amnesty bill in 2006, if you remember. And McCain was one of those, and of course they were buddies. And he ran afoul of that. Like I said, sometimes he could be a squish. And you got really upset with him, and and you poke fun of him and that kind of thing. But really, at the end of the day, the guy was a very effective senator, very good at what he did, and in the overall was a benefit for the country doing what he did. In fact, I'll tell you, the makeup of our Supreme Court may not be what it is without this moment.
Are you aware that at 9:23 on the night of July the 9th, the day you were nominated to the Supreme Court by President Trump, Senator Schumer said, 23 minutes after your nomination, "I will oppose Judge Kavanaugh's nomination with everything I have. I have a bipartisan, and I hope a bipartisan majority will do the same. The stakes are simply too high for anything less." Well, if you weren't aware of it, you are now. Did you meet with Senator Dianne Feinstein on August 20th?
I did meet with Senator Feinstein.
Did you know that her staff had already recommended a lawyer to Dr. Ford?
I did not know that.
Did you know that her and her staff had this allegations for over 20 days?
I did not know that at the time.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham, that you knew about it and you held it. You had no intention of protecting Dr. Ford. None. She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it, because these have been my friends. But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process. You came to the wrong town at the wrong time, my friend. Do you consider this a job interview?
The advice and consent role is like a job.
You consider that you've been through a job interview?
I've been through a process of advice and consent under the Constitution. Which
Would you say you've been through hell?
I've been through hell and then some.
This is not a job interview.
Yeah.
This is hell.
This
is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap. Your high school yearbook. You have interacted with professional women all your life, not one accusation. You're supposed to be Bill Cosby when you're a junior and senior in high school. And all of a sudden you got over it. It's been my understanding that if you drug women and rape them for 2 years in high school, you probably don't stop. Here's my understanding. If you lived a good life, people would recognize it, like the American Bar Association has the gold standard. His integrity is absolutely unquestioned. He is the very circumspect in his personal conduct, harbors no biases or prejudices. He's entirely ethical, is a really decent person. He is warm, friendly, unassuming. He's the nicest person. The ABA. The one thing I can tell you, you should be proud of. Ashley, you should be proud of this, that you raised a daughter who had the good character to pray for Dr. Ford. To my Republican colleagues, if you vote no, you're legitimizing the most despicable thing I have seen in my time in politics. You want this seat? I hope you never get it. I hope you're on the Supreme Court. That's exactly where you should be. And I hope that the American people will see through this charade. And I wish you well, and I intend to vote for you, and I hope everybody who's fair-minded will. Are you aware that...
I mean, huge. And I can tell you that under the Believe All Women torrent, even women who make absolutely no sense, there were some Republicans who were weakening on that. And at that point, Lindsey Graham fights back and gets, really, at the end of the day, that pushes Brett Kavanaugh over the top, puts him on the Supreme Court. No doubt about it. Huge thing and a huge loss. Now, it's interesting because, yeah, somebody just put in the chat there that Sam Neill also gone. Yeah, the weird thing about Sam Neill passing away is that it almost became like a, oh, by the way, also Sam Neill died. And Sam Neill, of course, a lot of people, a pop culture icon just from having been in Jurassic Park, for having been the star. Well, the dinosaurs were the star of Jurassic Park, but having been the human star of Jurassic Park, and even got to come back a couple of years ago and do one more movie and got to do those Comcast commercials. He was 78. And I'll just say a couple of things. One, wouldn't have known from his appearances in public that he was 78. I don't know if you remember this or not, but he had one of the more entertaining social media presences during COVID. Sam Neill was just out there like exercising and doing all kinds of just interesting videos during COVID. And it's a loss. Great actor. And of course, again, we miss him. Now, on the other hand, as I said, we lose Lindsey Graham. I knew the ghouls would come out. And I want the ghouls to think about this because there are a lot of them out there. Oh, he was a warmongering. I'm glad I literally saw I'm glad he's dead probably 15 times on Twitter yesterday. And it's just disgusting to see stuff like that. It really is. Because I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You're supposed to advocate for humanity. But hey, who am I? But let me just say this. If you're one of those people who's an I'm glad he's dead when Lindsey Graham passes, please understand you are in line with Iranian state media. This is actual Iranian state media. I congratulate the Iranian people on the death of U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, who has been sent to hell. Congratulations for being on the side of the mullahs. Good job. So I'm told we had a second And I hadn't seen that. Jacob Samus was also drafted. Another Glenn Academy kid, also drafted by MLB. So again, another kid. And he was what am I hearing? 12th round? So again, you have another kid who is now going to be given a shot. And he's going to get a chance to go out there and do his thing. And so I'm ecstatic about the fact that we have local kids who are going to get a chance to go out there and participate. What else do we have lined up here this morning? I've got a bunch of stuff in here. Oh, yes. What happens next after Lindsey Graham's death? And what's going to happen is Governor McMaster is going to have to appoint somebody. Noah Ring has weighed in with me on that. And he has, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to taint the process here, but we'll see if that works. But yeah, what's going to happen is McMaster is going to have to appoint somebody, and then they're going to have to replace him as the nominee because he was the Republican nominee for the Senate. If you remember, I think he had 4 people running against him or something like that, and he cleaned up in the primary. So it tells you how popular he was in South Carolina. You'll have some South Carolinians tell you, oh, we all hated Lindsey Graham. But the reality is the guy cleaned up in the primary against a lot of opponents and still did fine. So let's see. I hope this audio clip becomes long-lasting, similar to Thomas's high-tech lynching. It's very similar. Both, I think, are things that help put those guys over the top. No doubt about it. LaRon is asking me right now. I just got a text from LaRon. Hi, Scott. Did iHeart pull your show? See, this is what I'm telling you. It's amazing the people that just suddenly assume I'm on vacation when I never gave any indication that I was going on vacation. Good to see Holy Ghost Trucker. The ghouls, it comes in 3 finger crossed emoji. Really? Oh, that's awful. That's just ridiculous. Yeah, no, disgusting. Graham is definitely going to be hard to replace. Defense and foreign policy were his strong suits. No doubt about it. If Iranians are glad you're dead, doesn't that mean you have a shot at 40 version? The funny thing about that is if you talk to Robert Spencer, who there's nobody that I know has dedicated his life to studying Islam from a secular or maybe even Christian standpoint. The 40 virgins thing, apparently not so much. The translation is a little wonky, and he suspects it's actually more like 40 grapes is what they're saying. Like, you will be fed 40 grapes in paradise, that kind of thing. So a lot of these guys who do think they're going to have virgins in paradise are going to be very, very sorely disappointed when they actually have grapes. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm jumping around here a good bit just because I've got a lot of this stuff kind of lined up. And I want to do one more Lindsey Graham thing if I could. And it's the Cory Booker tribute. Again, we talk about reaching across the aisle and being able to talk to people in the other party. And nobody can do that anymore. But yet we really did have people who could. And Lindsey Graham was one of them. This is Cory Booker.
So I go up to Lindsey Graham, and I'm a brand new senator, determined to do something about mass incarceration. And I hear through Dick Durbin and others that he's the guy to work with. And I say, Mr. Graham, sir, I'd like to work with you on criminal justice reform. He seems almost amused by what I said. He goes, Cory, do you understand? I'm in a primary right now, and I'm running against a guy who is batshit crazy. I can't even so much as talk to you right now. Get out of here, man. Come back to me after my primary. And I laughed and came back to him after the primary. And true to his word, he rolled up his sleeves and we went to work. And thanks to him and Dick Durbin and some other Senate heroes, our bill became the First Step Act after years, 2 presidents, 2 Congresses, and became law. One of my favorite moments in that negotiation was at the last minute, I'm trying to force one more thing into that bill. This has to do with children being put in solitary confinement. And I am going at it with this White House official who says, no, hard no. And we're almost yelling at each other. And then he says, I'm going to get Lindsey Graham on the phone and he will tell you. And so he gets the White House operator to connect Lindsey Graham onto the phone. And Lindsey Graham listens for maybe a hot second and then interrupts the guy and says, are you kidding me? We need Cory Booker to get this bill done. We can't do it without him. Give him what he wants. And it was in the bill. It's now part of the law of the land. One of the White House negotiators during that first negotiation told me that Lindsey Graham was like an unguided missile. that God, he never knew which way he was going to go, whether he would come back and hit you. But when he was aligned, when he would be in the right place at the right time, man, he could get things done that other people couldn't and bring a lot of light and new possibilities to the efforts. I am stunned at Lindsey Graham's death, but I pray that he is reunited with his friend, John McCain, that they both are experiencing God's love, grace, mercy, and forgiveness. My prayers are with his family and all those who loved and cherished him. I will miss my perhaps most unexpected friend in the Senate and someone with whom I got some good things done. So I go up to Lindsey Graham,
So
and
yeah,
I'm a brand.
Cory Booker there. Again, great story. Just again, that Lindsey Graham could get things done. And that's at the end of the day what it's about. You did it. I don't know about you people. Hey, Mr. Blash, good to see you. Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually said earlier this morning, that's exactly what a lot of people were saying, was that they thought I was on vacation. They think I'm on vacation. LaRon just sent me a text just a little bit ago. I guess I have to have a conversation with LaRon at some point. But I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But anyway, good to have everybody here. By the way, area kids doing well. You know, yesterday was the finals of Wimbledon. Yeah, the sad thing is I was looking at the Saturday paper of record, and they had a big article of these two guys. I'm sorry, I don't remember the names. These two guys are going to be in the Wimbledon finals Sunday. And I went, who? And then I realized how out of the tennis game I am, because when it was on, they cut to the crowd and they were showing Stefan Edberg. And I was like, who's that old guy? Oh, really? Stefan Edberg's an old guy now. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. But I did want to point this out too. Isha Manchala, 13 of Hilton Head, has won the girls 14 and under singles title at the 2026 Wimbledon Championship. And let me just say, they start turning pro like 14, 15, 16. So she's on the verge. First American teenager to reach the semifinals, and dominated the round robin matches with a 3-0 record. So she has won, and she is a Hilton Head Island kid. And just keep paying attention, because there will be more to be heard from out of her, I promise. There's a story, by the way, in the paper of record over the weekend. This is terrible. And this is one of those where you go, we probably need to motivate some people and get some people going. Did you see this? Local Salvation Army's food pantry is bone dry. Terry Dixon piece in the paper of record. And look at the picture. Terry took the picture as well. The picture the picture says a lot. Well, it also says there's some Fruit Loops right there on the right. But otherwise, I think they said there's a few cans of there's like a few jars of peanut butter and a few cans of something else, and that's it. They don't have anything. So if you're going out grocery shopping this week, buy a couple extra canned goods and drop them off at the Salvation Army, please. Salvation Army does good work. They are good people. And I hate to see them in that state. Again, look at the reporter's job is to report facts, but also, let's be honest, their job is to evoke emotion as well. That's really what wins the Pulitzers and all that other stuff. And I'm not saying this is a Pulitzer Prize picture, but Terry Dixon did the perfect shot. That is a perfect picture to illustrate the dire situation there. Now, the other thing that I thought was kind of weird about that story was you go down to the bottom of it, and you can rate the stories. And so you go to the bottom of it, and there was one rating, and somebody gave it 1 star. I'm trying to figure out if the person who gave it 1 star gave it 1 star because they went, oh, this is a terrible story. Or did they go, oh, I feel so badly. This is a terrible situation for the Salvation Army to find themselves in. Therefore, 1 star for the situation they're in. I don't know. But if you're going to give that story 1 star, you're nuts. You should probably not even be reading the paper, but you might not be able to read the paper, to tell you the truth. It was just awful, 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 awful. Mr. Blash, how can I find you on the radio? You can't yet. Not yet. Working on it. Not there yet. I hope to have some announcements very, 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 very soon. Tell 25. Well, 25 can hear us. morning. And again, we're still looking for folks to subscribe to the YouTube channel. So if you get a minute, go on to YouTube. We're at 892. We started at 891. We're at 892 now. And we're trying to get to 900 today. And our goal really is to be somewhere over 1,000, because that's when the algorithm really starts being kind to you, from what we understand. So please, please, please do it and encourage other people to do it. Just subscribe and hit the bell for notifications and all that other good stuff. Like the videos. That helps as well. Yes, I have to bring this up. The parasite causing severe diarrhea spreads in the Midwest and North and New York City. And the reason I do this is because every time something happens like this, people everywhere start assuming that they have it, and they don't all have it. Any medical thing like that, they do. But this one, even more so, because, every so often people have little issues, but this is not what they're talking about. A dangerous parasite that causes explosive diarrhea is spreading through the Midwest. I'm glad to have brought you this, by the way, during breakfast time. It's what I do. As federal health officials investigate the still undetermined source of the outbreak, Michigan, the state with the highest infection count, recorded 1,251 total cases of cyclosporiasis on Thursday, a 26% jump from the previous day. The infections are largely concentrated in the southeastern part of the state. Neighboring Ohio has reported more than 360 cases, according to a spokesperson for the health department. Other states, including New York and Illinois, are also seeing rising rates. Since May 1st, New York City has recorded 273 infections. The health department's investigation into the source of exposure is ongoing. When you hear over 1,000 cases, we're probably talking about a lot more people out there just not being diagnosed, said Daniel Griffin, get ready for this, an infectious disease physician and president of the nonprofit Parasites Without Borders. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I don't want any representative from a group called Parasites Without Borders anywhere near me. I want parasites to have borders. I want parasites to have very firm borders. That's kind of one of those things that I desire, is for parasites to be bordered, be sequestered, to be put off on their own. A couple of letters to the editor of the paper of record today. Let's go at Charlie for a second here. He can take it. He's a big boy. First, it's democratic socialism, not communism, but democratic socialism. Yes, what is the difference? The difference is it's got a different name. That's it. Pretty much it. Yeah. This movement didn't happen a bubble. It didn't happen overnight. It's been in the making for 40 years, ever since Reagan stacked the deck in a way that favors the wealthy at the cost of taking from the most vulnerable among us. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about this for just a second. Socialism has been in the making for a long time, and it's been tried a lot of different times, and it's never worked. And you can call it something else, and you can rebrand it, all of that. It's not going to work. Still not going to work. Sorry about that. It's not going to work. It has never worked. It will not work. It's incompatible. Let me say this. Socialism is incompatible with human nature. It just is. Sorry. And then Reagan stacked the deck in a way that favors the wealthy at the cost of taking from the most vulnerable among us. And I love this line of rhetoric, because I asked several years ago the question, and I'll continue to ask this question because it really hit me many, many years ago, and I've never gotten a good answer to it. This theory amongst many on the left, particularly the socialist types, is that the rich are rich because they took from the poor. They also have amongst their intellectual baggage the notion that the rich have always been rich and the poor have always been poor. And Thomas Sowell has just nuked that argument, but that is part of the belief system of many on the left, is that the rich are rich and they've always been rich, and the poor are poor and they've always been poor. So if the rich are rich and have always been rich and continue to be rich by taking from the poor, how do the poor have anything? What is it that they're taking away from the poor, since the poor have nothing to start with, that is making them rich? How can you take enough from the poor to make yourself rich? If the poor don't have anything, how much could you possibly take from them to enrich yourself? See, none of that makes any sense. But I digress. Democratic socialism is a direct result of fascism and kleptocracy, heading towards oligarchy and autocracy that has grown in the fertile soil of the Republican Party, and more directly, the MAGA movement. See what he did there was he used 4 big words that he's hoping you don't know what they mean. Kleptocracy, literally taking away, just a government based on taking things away. Which technically, I mean, never mind. Fascism. You know what's interesting about fascism? Nobody can seem to clearly identify fascism at this point. Like it's become, I know it when I see it. And the problem for Democrats is all Republicans are fascists, which is again why a Lindsey Graham just completely escapes them. And then oligarchy, of course, is the the elite class running everything at all, and autocracy. Again, what's the point of all of this? And how can you have 5 different major philosophies governing you all at once? Bill Clinton said you can run to the left, you can run to the right, but you govern from the center. Bill Clinton said that. And the reason Bill Clinton said that is because he got dragged to the center. Bill Clinton tried really, really hard to govern from the left, and the public would not allow him to govern from the left. They gave the House of Representatives to the Republicans for the first time in 40 years. Think about that. We have an election for the House. The entire House is up for election every 2 years. All 435 seats. And for 40 years, the American voters gave the House of Representatives, the majority in the House of Representatives, to the Democrat Party. And then in the 90s, something changed. A couple of things did change. One, Newt Gingrich actually fought for it. Republicans in Congress weren't used to actually fighting for it. But 2, the president, Bill Clinton, tried to govern so far to the left that the American people weren't going to have it. So yes, he did say that after he lost. It's kind of like taking George Lucas and his political allegories 30 years after Star Wars was a hit, and him going, well, yeah, I meant to say all of these deep, meaningful things that people keep finding in the work. I meant to do that. That was all me. And it not really. So the pendulum swings. Hang on. I got to go back. MAGA disregarded that pragmatic rule. It alienated the center and the center left. MAGA isn't center right. It's hardcore, untethered, far right fanatics with a slim understanding of democracy and representation. I hate to tell you, MAGA's not that far right. MAGA's got a lot of left wing to it. MAGA frustrates me because MAGA has a lot of left wing to it. The president last week offered to take a stake in another country. Company. This administration has taken an ownership stake in over a dozen companies since Trump's second term has begun. That is not the work of a radical right winger. That is actually far left stuff. And yes, it drives me crazy when they do stuff like that. So, the thing about MAGA and trying to hard code it right or left when it has significant elements of both is a severe lack of actually understanding them or politics in general. So the pendulum swings, and politics, like pendulums, tend to swing further in the opposite direction of the initial swing. Yin and yang. I could do the whole Newton thing another time, perhaps, back on message. One thing about Charlie Hill you will learn, if you know Charlie Hill at all, he is very, very, very full of himself. Probably was not bullied enough in school. Democratic socialism came about because center and left of center were no longer heard, no longer represented. And none of that's true, by the way. That's the thing. Socialism came about because people convinced people that they were not heard or represented, and that being heard and represented means you get free things. And that's just not the case. Sometimes you need to shout to be heard because the political spectrum and the media are so blurred that everything becomes static. Think of democratic socialism as a course correction. No, radicalism is never a course correction. That would be like saying, gee, I started to drift over the center line of the road. Let me course correct into the ditch. Radicalism is not a course correction. Sorry. A way to bring America back to the center where the majority of Americans reside. Oh, democratic. So socialism is the center? And yet he's lecturing other people on politics. Got it. Okay. I got all I need to hear right there. Another letter to the editor. Oh, this is the Don Green one. And this is just weird because of, when people move here, we often talk about the permanent vacationers and that kind of thing. And people will move here and not have a clue. Not know a thing. We'll get into that one in a second. Let me look at the comments really quickly and see what we got going on for people this morning. Let's see. So the 1 star, more than likely because of dislike of the Salvation Army is the reason why. You think that's the case? That's sad because, again, it's a good organization. The source of Macy's. No one needs to know this, Henry Paul. I mean, I'm proud of you for being down 80. I really do. I love that. And again, I got to get back on my bike. Same thing. Socialism by any other name would still not work. You're absolutely correct. Can Mr. Hill explain how Bernie Sanders became so rich then? That's a great question because, yes, he's a democratic socialist, and yet somehow he has 3 different houses and is worth millions and millions of dollars. How is it that Bernie Sanders has become so rich? How is that? Let me tell you this, too. I found this out yesterday. Lindsey Graham, 23 years in the Senate, many more years in the House, worth $1.4 million, $175,000 a year salary, worth $1.4 million. Now, when you're 71, leading a normal lifestyle and buying a house and paying it off and that kind of thing, it wouldn't be hard to be worth $1.4 million if you live responsibly and you make $174,000 a year. Lindsey Graham wasn't worth $30 million. Lindsey Graham wasn't worth $100 million. Like you hear from some of these guys. Remember, Ilhan Omar went from being worth nothing to being worth $30 million to then being worth nothing again when people found out she was worth $30 million. Bernie Sanders, another great example. A man who's worth millions and millions of dollars, multiple houses all over the place. Lindsey Graham was worth $1.4 million. That's it. That's it. I'm assuming he's referring to my comments about the government taking ownership in over a dozen companies. 100% that's socialism. That's my problem with it. I have a very, very big problem with it. Trump killed Lindsey with too much work. Heart disease killed him. I hate that it did. George Lucas's film saga is a discourse on the dangers of big government, which is not a conservative ideology. Except it is. Bill Clinton said he was going to decrease our taxes before the election between him and George Bush. Clinton gets elected 2 weeks into his term. He says he tried, but he could not find a way to lower taxes. He was going to have to increase them. He created the Southern Republican Party by doing that. I watched Georgia turn Republican overnight. That did happen again. Well, there's that, and there was also the healthcare takeover, which Obama was able to very successfully navigate. But that certainly promising to cut taxes and then not doing it, very much a part of the contributing factor. But again, Hillary care, whatever you want to call it, same thing as well. Morning for oh man, let me tell you something. That beef jerky is addictive, absolutely addictive. Now I'm wondering if Snap is hurting food donations everywhere. Oh well, I mean I don't think so because Snap's been around. It continues to be around. I don't know. Fine question. I'm off to refer to Charles Hill as an idiot savant without the savant part, of course. Sambo and Tom, yes, absolutely. Speaking of the pro sports legacy in this area, very much so. But I think Russia could have had anything to do with Lindsey's death. He was just in Ukraine speaking out how no one should support Russia and then comes home and died. No, you got a guy with heart disease. I think heart disease probably killed the guy who had heart disease and died from heart disease. You got to prove a conspiracy to me. I'm just not that guy. 899. Oh, let's take a look. We did say we want to get to 900 today. We're at 900. We hit 900. Holy cow. Good. Yes. Wait, PWB, who comes up with that? What is PWB? I don't understand. All right. Anyway, he was not married and had no kids. Yes. Are you talking about how he had any money? I don't quite understand. Michael says, why did they pull you out of Savannah? They pulled me out of everywhere. They pulled everybody out of Savannah. I guess I have to go through this again. All right, I'll go through it again. What the heck? iHeart did a massive house cleaning on programming departments because they wanted to centralize it. And they got rid of every single programming staffer in Savannah and every single programming staffer in Brunswick full time. And they did it all in one fell swoop. And they did it in about 30 other cities. So not good, not good. What made you ask yourself the question about socialism? You're talking about the rich taking from the poor, that question? Just because I kept hearing the rhetoric, and one day it just kind of hit me that we constantly hear about the rich are rich because they stole it from the poor. And it's like, but the poor don't have anything. What did they steal from the poor to make it so that they had all this money? And that's just, the logic just took over. But now if Lindsey Graham had, turned green and wound up in the hospital for weeks and then slowly died and it looked like radiation poisoning, then Putin tea. But not otherwise. Yeah, well, his dad owned a liquor store and his parents died when they were young and everything. It was a thing. Appreciate that. No doubt about it. Let's see. Once upon a time, iHeart decided to get rid of their local radio shows. Yeah, pretty much. Through the grapevine, which is why they laid people. What grapevine are you listening to with iHeart? What I'll say is iHeart has about $5 billion in debt. They went bankrupt several years ago. They came out at $16 billion in debt. They came out of the bankruptcy at about $5 billion in debt, which means there are a lot of people who they owed money to that didn't get paid, which is not good. But this is another reorganization because they don't make money. We made money for them somewhere down the chain. They don't, and that's the interesting thing to me too. Is like these big markets like New York and LA, they lose money hand over fist in those markets. They don't cut those guys. They cut the little guys in the little markets who are actually giving them profit. But anyway, enough of that. Let's see. The federal government is the ball and chain attached to our economy. It's not just the tax code, but in its entirety. Yeah, there's something to that. No doubt. When the federal government gets involved in spending money, even in attempts to help people, the reality is they create problems for people. Think about the reason for things like SNAP coming about anyway. That really started with federal subsidies to, for all these products that were being produced when people couldn't afford the products that were being produced. They gave money to buy the products. Why? To sustain the prices. So in other words, these government programs that help people so much were literally created to keep prices higher, so that the farmers could, make their living, feed their families, etc. But they were created to keep prices high. And they do. The definition of inflation is the whole notion of too many dollars chasing too few goods and services. When the government continues to throw dollars in there, that creates a situation where there are too many dollars. The government puts fewer dollars in there, prices will not go up as much. That's the reason why we had the hyperinflation a couple of years ago, was because, and I'm not going to leave Trump out of this. Trump dumped $1 trillion onto the economy, and then Biden turned around and dumped another $1 trillion into the economy. And voila, we have dramatic, rapid inflation in double digits out of nowhere. It wasn't out of nowhere. It was out of spending 2 years dumping $1 trillion a year into the economy. What is this? What I got this? Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll try to get into that in a little bit. Because I want to do a few more letters to the editor of the paper of record. I was going to go to this one, actually. We talk about the permanent vacationers, the people who don't, would you stop it? The people who don't, they move here and then they don't really familiarize themselves with the place. And that's kind of what drove me nuts with this thing. I have advocated for the last 6 months that our police, all of them, Brunswick police, sheriff's deputies, and highway patrol, should all make $100,000 a year per minimum because they're risking their lives. Well, let's start with a couple of things. One, they're not highway patrol, they're Georgia State Patrol. There are some states where they're the California Highway Patrol. CHIPS. Dun, 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 dun. But they're the Georgia State Patrol. Also, where is a mention of the Glenn County Police Department in here? All of them. Brunswick Police, Sheriff's Deputies, and Highway Patrol. No mention of the Glenn County Police Department. Should all make $100,000 per year minimum because they're risking their lives, but I guess the powers that be can't afford it. I don't know. I say up our tax if necessary. Really? You think that? You think, because they start around low 50s now. So are you literally saying that you should double the salary of every police officer and every law enforcement officer in the city, in the county, Georgia State Patrol, Brunswick Police, Sheriff's Deputies? And none of those guys are going to argue with you, don't get me wrong. But as a taxpayer, I don't feel that's appropriate. You know, it's great that it's the same thing as when they go, teachers should be paid like ball players. Really? Do teachers generate the revenue that ball players do? Oh, okay. How do teachers get paid? Oh, through confiscation. That's right. Okay, confiscation of your money. And the same thing with cops. No offense. I mean, I love cops. I'm glad to support them. I'm glad we've given them a lot of raises in recent years. We've given them a lot of raises in recent years. But let's be honest. That money comes out of your pocket and they get paid through confiscation. So just up our tax if necessary. I'm glad he's okay with that. What I would say is go find Don Green and take his money away from him. He obviously has more than he wants. Here's why. I'm terrified to drive in Brunswick anymore because of the dangerous drivers that have invaded us since COVID. I moved here in 2014. Okay, let's start right there. This is one of those great, I moved here in 2014, and then 6 years later, everybody went bad. This kind of thing just frustrating. It is the permanent vacation mentality. But then he goes on, and this is where you go, do you know anything about this place that you've lived in for 12 years? First off, doesn't know the law enforcement agencies. Strike one. Strike two. I moved here in 2014, and before COVID, we had about 11,000 people per Google. Who's we? What is 11,000? What are you talking about? I don't know of any measurement of people in Glenn County that is 11,000 people, that has been 11,000 people for a long time. Maybe St. Simon's Island in 2010, 2000 census. I think even then they were like, in 2010, I think they were like 13,000. The city of Brunswick was 15, 14, 13,000 as time goes on. Where's 11,000? And, when you start saying things like, now it's over double. What? What are you talking about? There's no measurement of population in this community that is 22,000 people. I won't even get on the spur because it's 50 miles an hour with cross streets. Dude, if you can't handle a road that's 50 miles an hour with cross streets, which, by the way, all have lights now, you probably should turn in your driver's license. Seriously. I mean, you should probably just turn in the license and just call it a day. But I don't even understand those numbers. Well, before COVID, we had 11,000. And he's talking about the spur, so he's not talking about St. Simon's. He's not talking about the city. Where's he getting 11,000 from? And then 22,000. I mean, and I can't believe, I know the reality is the paper of record publishes just about every letter to the editor because they don't get that many. This is just like, I'm going to say things that nobody, there's no basis in reality for. And I expect people to do what I say because I have no basis in reality for anything I'm saying. I don't understand this at all. And I say one day you're going to have the worst disaster ever. You know, we have a lot of wrecks on the causeway. Not on the causeway. I'm sorry. We had a lot of wrecks on the spur. No doubt about it. We do. None of them have ever come out to be the greatest disaster ever. Again, going back to Chips, you know, they'd open the season sometimes with a 58,000 car pileup. Well, you remember that day. Oh, golly, what was it, 85? The big pileup on 95 in the fog. Remember that? That was the first time I really remembered us being on national news. Huge pileup. Let's see. And people pass me. I drive the speed limit, and people pass me on Harry Driggers Boulevard like I was standing still. Again, Harry Driggers Boulevard. Where's 11,000 and 22,000 coming from? We've had 3 deaths since 2014 that I know of, and it's all about speed and speeders. We've had 3 deaths in 12 years. I feel like Mr. Green didn't have his medication when he wrote this. The only thing I can figure. I see people never stopping at the subdivision stop signs, and they just fly right past them right on Driggers. I live in Shell Point, and 1 month a few years ago, a speeder sign registered 481 speeding out there with 2 blind curves. There's a speeder sign? I'm learning something today. Officers of the law, help me out on this. Because I know you guys have those signs that you put out that they have the speed limit and they tell you what you're going, and then they flash at you if they think you're going a little too fast. Do those actually count the number of people that it flashes for? And if so, do you report that somewhere? How does this guy know 481 people? I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I'm surprised no one has not been killed out there. Surprised no one has not been killed. I'm selling my home out there because of it. Actually, I may have to leave Brunswick because of these idiots. Gee, it was a good 12 years, Don. It was a good 12 years. That's all I can say. Owes you money? Who owes you money? All right, I don't know. When Russia kills you, they want people to know that Russia killed you. Polonium is a very rare substance. Yes, absolutely. Because I heart too big to fail. They're big. They're very big. All the Brunswick police do is move the homeless around the Pam. Wasn't Bernie Sanders the voice of Ant the Art Park? You would think. It was actually like Mike Binder or somebody like that, wasn't it? It was a comedian doing a Jackie Mason impression. I'm not gonna talk about that. That's the thing I'm not gonna talk about. Don Green is the guy going 35 in a 50 in the left lane and panics whenever he sees a big rig. That may well be. Yes. 50 miles per hour street skier simply discovers this thing called the interstate. Yeah, wait till he hears that. Oh, scares him. Wait till, yes, absolutely. The slow driver is more of a problem than the speeders. Everyone has to make adjustment for the slow driver. Well, I think there are some, there are times when I watch people who just like almost create a wake. They go so fast. And that's pretty ridiculous. There was a guy weaving that just about took my nose off the other day, and the guy in front of him's tail off, and he was just weaving. No reason whatsoever. Just dumb. But yeah. Big difference with geriatric slimmers, the real, well, again, yeah, I think there's a little bit of blame to go around for everybody. I'll just say that. This is correct, Shaz Bazaar. This is correct. Yeah, a few of these guys doing this. Maybe you're no, well, let me just say no, because all right, I'll talk about this. Probably shouldn't. I will. No, my last since iHeart took over, I had one pay raise built in from the previous company, Quantum. And they honored that contract and then signed me to new ones. And after that, they didn't give me raises. They just increased my bonuses. So my salary stayed the same, which is why I'm kind of not impressed by their offer of severance that consists only of salary. But the bonuses got better. And so, I didn't complain because I was earning more and more and more and more. And I was earning really good money because I was achieving my goals, which again was what I thought you were supposed to do. And I was hitting lots and lots of bonus money. So, they weren't. When my contract was up, it was going to have been, I think 14 years before I'd actually had a raise in salary. But the other stuff was so good that it was like, all right, whatever. Because I was earning it. I was making it, Again, why you don't get rid of somebody who is earning the bonuses. I'm not. No, those signs have flashed at me because I take my 10 and they start flashing pretty early. But I take my 10. I take 8 or 9 of my 10, usually. The one day I took 15 of my 10, I got a ticket. So try to stay at 8 or 9. And I usually try to keep the cruise on so that I don't slip past that. But you never know. You never know what happens. All right, let's take a look at the other things we've got going on here. This one for the Bryan County developer proposes gas station and grocery near cemetery. This is Savannah Morning News, and this is a serious news article. The residents are urging Bryan County leaders to reject a rezoning request for proposed commercial development near Burnt Church Cemetery, saying increased traffic, noise, and future development could endanger one of Richmond Hill's most historic sites. And it's interesting because it's historic, and so we can't have anything near it. And so I guess my question is, what's the buffer zone for a historic site? Well, how far can you get from a historic site before you can actually do something? Because I'll be honest with you, I looked at the proposal for that area. Really like it. I'm a good, you know me, I'm a sucker for just a good retail district. When you do it right, you do it well. And this one looks pretty good. But we can't have it because it's near a cemetery that's historic. Now, if they were going to pull a poltergeist and be like, oh, we only moved the headstones, that's one thing. But that's not what they're talking about. They're not talking about moving it, and they're not really talking about, it doesn't seem like they're talking about encroaching on it in any way. But yet, let's see, the poor are very profitable for the Democrats. They build nonprofits to help them, like the SPLC, with big grants which are divided among, there's a lot of that going on too. Sent the wife over to Island Dog to get some chicken chips. She really loved the place. Very helpful, great prices. Thank you, Island Dog. Island Dog is terrific. And I'm glad you got chicken chips because your dog will never, ever, ever, ever let you regret that decision. Your dogs will love the chicken chips, just the way it is. And Island Dog are great, great people. The Klimps there are terrific. Came here in 2014, like Don, but it was to leave worse road idiots up north. Yep. And then Art. And Art, I usually agree with very much. Art and I are usually on the same page. Today, Art and I are not really on the same page. Well, there was one thing that just bothered me about this regarding term limits. And there's things in here I do agree with on Art. Regarding term limits, in the news, it said that the GOP doesn't know much about Mitch McConnell. Don't know much about Mitch McConnell. Is he alive or has he passed? Well, they've all been saying that they believe he's alive. And of course, you saw the picture yesterday, the hostage picture that they put out of Mitch McConnell. And everybody's trying to, it's AI. But he does have a picture of that day's Washington Post sports section in his hand. So, I don't know. And then I started seeing all the, why is he in jeans? Where are the wires? Where he's in a hospital bed? It's like everybody in a hospital bed doesn't look like they're at death's door. And why would he put out a picture? He's trying to put a picture out there showing he's healthy. Why would they put out a picture of him looking like he's at death's door? He's in jeans. Okay. It's fine. He's in the hospital. He's not, again, I think the point of that is that, he's not at death's door. And so people are mad that he doesn't appear to be at death's door. Anyway, Is he alive or is he passed? It's a known fact that his health is very poor and getting worse each day. That's true. Yet he will not step down. That's sort of not true. He's not running for re-election. He just wants to serve out this last term. Now, I think he should not have gone through with this last term. But he is, and okay. Maybe he doesn't know what his health condition is, but for sure his immediate family knows, yet they too are in no rush for him to retire. I guess that they love and want the power, and they may be calling all the shots for him. I don't think so. And I will tell you again, Mitch McConnell is one of those guys that you'll bag on until you realize what you're missing with Mitch McConnell. One thing Mitch McConnell is very good at doing is corralling senators to get votes and raising funds, both of which are vitally necessary. If the and this is the part that I just went, why do we just say stupid things? If the president of the United States has to take a mental and physical test each year, then why can't all of the members of both houses be required to do the same? This goes back to the other letter. What are you talking about? The president of the United States is not required to take a mental and physical test every. I mean, the president has a physical every year because everybody's supposed to have a physical every year. Mental evaluations are only issued if A, the president requests it, which Trump does because he wants to make an issue out of Biden's dwindling mental capacities. And of course, all the people that are sitting there constantly saying, oh, we've got to use the 25th Amendment because Trump has no brain left. So Trump asks for it, sure. But the president's not required to take a mental and physical test every year. So like your entire premise just collapsed and you still have another paragraph to go. There are 86 in the House and 33 in the Senate who are 70 years of age or older. A few are in their 80s. These are important people who make some very important decisions for America. Are they up to the task to be in office? This again, the notion of giving a test to people to determine whether they are fit for office. You know, we used to give a test to people to determine whether they were fit to be able to vote. You know? Maybe some of you don't remember this. We used to have to give people tests to determine whether they were fit to be able to vote. That is a thankfully discarded part of our past. My question when it comes to this stuff, maybe we should have a mental fitness challenge to determine whether they should be in office. Who determines the challenge? Who determines where the bar is? You know, it reminds me of, there are studies done where, you know, they'll release the results of the study and it'll be Fox News viewers are among the least informed viewers of television news. And then you look at the question and it's literally just left-wing crap. And if you don't follow left-wing talking points, then they consider you uninformed and you move on. And then there are other studies that show Fox News video are more informed and more engaged. And again, it all depends on who's creating the question and who's creating the test. We know that we have a very entrenched left-wing bureaucracy that DOJ was unable to fully root out. Why would we even put ourselves at the mercy of people who are entrenched bureaucrats to try and determine whether or not our politicians were mentally capable of doing the job? Why would we let them craft the standards? I don't understand this notion of we've got to have, it's the same thing with red flag laws. We talked about this before. You know, my problem with red flag laws, and you know, Chancellor Rodriguez doesn't mind them. They passed them in Florida. But I'm not a fan of red flag laws because who is it to determine? Who's to determine who can't have a gun and who can't? Based on some vague amorphous standard. You know, a judge can determine that based on what? You know, what's the empirical standard? And I completely disagree with the notion of making legislators take a mental and physical test each year. And again, I mean, if you have somebody who can only function as a brain in a jar, but they vote great, who am I to stop them? Who am I to say anything to them? But again, the premise, if the president has to take a mental and physical test each year, why can't all the members of both houses be required to do the same? They're not. The president is not required to take a test each year. So the premise is just blown up right there. There should be a time limit for all of those positions. As for me, my federal time limit was age 55. I believe it's now 57 for law enforcement. I was also required to take a random drug test during my career. Why not them? I don't have a problem with that, random drug test. But I will say that if you rule out people at the age of 55 or 57 or 60 or 65 or 70 or 80 from serving, you're going to rule out some people who could be real contributors because of some weird form of age discrimination. Yes, as you get older, your capacities diminish. Some people's capacities diminish in differing rates than other people. We lost Hans Trupp a year or two ago. Up until the time Hans Trupp got sick, in his mid-80s, Hans Trupp was vital, vibrant, alive, unstoppable. I would have put him in any office you wanted to put him in, to be honest with you. So I don't get it. I don't get it. Joe Biden's assessment worked out so well. Yeah. Arms flailing reminds you of Lost in Space. It's an excuse to get rid of old conservatives. Yeah, that's the thing I don't understand. Again, I'm not getting into that. I can't get into that. Cannot get into that. Hello, folks. Good to have you here. And don't forget, go back and watch the whole thing. Like and subscribe, et cetera, because we do need YouTube subscribers. We hit 900 earlier today, which I was hoping for. And it did work out. Where are we right now? We are at 904 already. Yeah, keep subscribing on YouTube. We need to get to at least 1,000. I'll say at least 1,000 because that's supposed to unlock some algorithmic doors for us. So anyway, all of that having been said, I've been going for about an hour and a half. I think I've chewed your ear sufficiently. I'm going to take my leave of you for today. Don't forget, again, not just to like and subscribe on YouTube, but also I will not be here next Monday and Tuesday, a week from today and the day after that. Will not be here doing this, but I am going to be here every day this week because a lot of things I'm going to try and nail down this week. And, you never know. There may be some announcements made. I don't know. I wish I knew, but I don't yet, unfortunately. And there's some things that are happening that I just can't talk about yet, but they're really good, including, as several people have asked, a return to radio. It seems to be in the offing. We just got to get some contract things straightened out from iHeart, basically. That's it. All right. Got to get out of here. I will see you guys tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. Have a great day. And for everybody who is watching this later in the day, have a great afternoon. Stay dry today. See ya.